talk is receiving is as important as giving. Let me start with a few quotes. The first one is by Ernest Holmes from the Living the Science of Mind. God is life, and life gives itself to us. It does not give some of itself, it gives all of itself. But the gift without a receiver cannot complete itself in individual life. The next quote is by Brené Brown from The Gifts of Imperfection. Until we can receive with an open heart, we are never really giving with an open heart. When we attach judgment to receiving help, we knowingly or unknowingly attach judgment to giving help. And one by C.S. Lewis, A Grief Observed. And there's also, to him that hath shall be given. After all, you must have a capacity to receive, or even omnipotence can't give. Perhaps your own passion temporarily destroys the capacity. In the New Testament, Matt 10:8, we read, freely you have received, freely give. And Ernest Holmes commented on that and said, when the law of circulation is retarded, stagnation results. It is only when we allow the divine current to flow through us, in and out, that we really express life. The law of giving and receiving is definite. Emerson tells us to be aware of holding too much good in our hands. End of quotes. Giving and receiving are spiritually and physically bound together. Let's look at nature. As we breathe out, we produce carbon dioxide, which provides nourishment for plants. The plants use carbon dioxide and release oxygen, which is necessary for our life. Our every breath is making a difference for all of life by giving and receiving. The ability to receive is an important part of the flow of abundance in our lives. So practice receiving generously, accepting something from someone else. For instance, a compliment, a gift, an offer to pay for a meal, for instance, anything that is given. And accept it without any qualifications like, no, you shouldn't have done this, or I don't deserve this. And you always give so much, I can't really accept that. That's quite common, actually. I don't know whether you do it sometimes. I certainly have done it, but I become more and more aware of that. And to open myself up to receive with gratitude and with joy, to give the other person to give. When we accept without qualification, we're honoring the other person's flow of giving. Rejecting generosity may be a habit ingrained in us from our childhood. And old habits seem to be hard to break. The inability or unwillingness to receive can be related to some core needs and core beliefs. A need to be loved and accepted, as well as beliefs that I don't deserve to receive so much good. Receiving help, money, and support might be associated with weakness. However, according to my understanding, receiving money, support, and love is not weakness at all. It is actually strength, as it supports the flow of abundance in our lives. It all comes from the one source, using various channels of distribution. There are all kinds of limiting beliefs that can hold us back from expanding and moving forward. These beliefs have been picked up and have probably never been questioned. They've been picked up during our life, and they still exist in our memory. If I'm reluctant to receive, I deprive someone else the joy of giving. So this keeps the flow of abundance in our life by practicing giving as well as receiving. And remember, the more you receive, the more you have to give. Don't hoard. Imagine standing in a circle with a group of people passing around an object, like a candle or whatever, receiving it with one hand and transferring the object to the other hand and then passing it on to the person standing next to you. And so it's a continuous circle. And if the receiving and giving carries on, that circle cannot be interrupted. However, if one person refuses to receive, the cycle is broken or interrupted. So we all need to give and to receive in order to make it work. So as we open ourselves to receiving, all of life becomes a gift. Generosity is living with arms wide open, free to give and free to receive. It is the ultimate of embracing the gifts of life and recognizing something greater than we are is the source of all that we have and all that we have to give and all that we receive. I came across a little, quite beautiful story. Let me share that with you. Two brothers worked together on the family farm. One was married and had a large family. The other was single. At the day's end, the brothers shared everything equally, produce and profit. And one day the single brother said to himself, "It's not right that we should share equally the produce and the profit. I'm alone and my needs are few and very simple." So each night he took a sack of grain from his bin and crept across the field between the houses, dumping it into his brother's bin. Meanwhile, the married brother said to himself, "It's not right that we should share the produce and the profit equally. After all, I'm married and I have my wife and my children to look after me for years to come. My brother has no one and no one to take care of his future." So each night he took a sack of grain and dumped it into his single brother's bin. Both men were puzzled for years because their supply of grain never dwindled. And one dark night, the two brothers bumped into each other. Slowly it dawned on them what was happening. They dropped their sacks and embraced each other. Isn't it a wonderful story of giving and receiving? Whatever we give comes back to us. I think it's lovely. Can you think of, let's say, 10 things you are already receiving, possibly without being aware of? I just came across some article, I think it was Joe Dispenza. He mentioned something that apparently billions of cells are being replaced every day in our bodies. I think he mentioned something of 500 billions. I think that's quite amazing, isn't it? Every day. So every day we receive billions of cells to keep on our process of life. And I think it might be a good thing to be grateful for that. And sometimes they said, hello you cells, hello for coming into my life and caring for me, looking after me. Because to me, that's such an amazing gift of nature. Also, what I like receiving or enjoy receiving is the beauty in nature. It always gives me joy. How about the air we breathe or the sunshine we receive? It's a gift, a free gift. By being able to receive gracefully, we give someone else the opportunity to give with joy. And here's another story. Rudyard Kipling was a great British poet whose writings have blessed many of us, including a generation gone by. Rudyard Kipling was a very famous writer, even before he died, and he made a great deal of money at his trade. A newspaper reporter came up to him once and said, "Mr. Kipling, I just read that somebody calculated that the money you make from your writings amounts to over $100 a word." Mr. Kipling raised his eyebrows and said, "Really? I certainly wasn't aware of that." The reporter cynically reached into his pocket and pulled out a $100 bill and gave it to Kipling and said, "Here's the 100 bill, Mr. Kipling. Now you give me one of your $100 words." But yet Kipling looked at the $100 bill for a moment. He took it and folded it up and put it into his pocket and said, "Thanks." $100 word. So everything in life works in circles, spiritually and materially. The basic principle of giving and receiving is found everywhere. What goes around comes around. So keep the circle positive. peaceful and loving. When there appears to be more attention on how to give, the consciousness of receiving is just as important. It is essentially mutual and reflects our unity with each other and with spirit. So I offer this following challenge. This week, notice all that is being offered to you and meet it with openness and gratitude. And maybe meditate on what it means to receive and embed the gift you give to others by receiving generously. Let me end with an affirmation, again by Alice Holmes. As I give thanks for the good now flowing into my life, I gladly share the good with others. The more I give, the more I receive. And so it is. Namaste.